Welcome to episode 1. It was almost time to leave home. Lloyd the Poodle wasn't a baby anymore. He knew that he had to leave his family. In fact, today was viewing day. The adult dogs watched from the balcony. Turtle, the rescued greyhound, shook his head. They're getting stronger and braver, almost fearless. Penny Poodle had tears in her eyes. My young ones are ready for a family of their own. Our puppies have been well trained, nodded Patrick Poodle gravely. There was a nervous energy in the house as Granny Perp brushed the puppies to look their best. It was mid-morning when the first visitor arrived. The kettle whistled softly and there was a long row of cups waiting to be filled with tea and coffee. The house was soon packed with people looking at puppies and the viewing got underway. I count 12 families, said Salty. And there's 6 of us, said Mustard. 12 families and 6 dogs, 2 chances for every poodle, laughed Terry. Lloyd glanced over at Francesca as he was passed from one kid to the next. I'm starting to feel like a stuffed toy, he laughed. At least you haven't been dropped yet, she chuckled. True, Lloyd agreed. He'd seen that careless kid drop Francesca a few minutes ago. Luckily, she turned in the air and landed on her feet. Any luck, Lloyd? Asked Terry as they were swapped between adult hands. None yet, Terry. Still looking, replied Lloyd cheerily. I tell you, I'm going to growl at that red-headed kid if he pokes me again, chimed in Mustard. I'll bite him if I get there first, joked Salty. Lloyd spent time in people's arms, being cuddled and patted. Plenty of nice people said hello, and there was even a brother and a sister pulling on their parents' clothes whilst pointing at Lloyd. Lloyd could hear them saying, that one, but the parents seemed a bit unsure. Lloyd still hadn't met a new family. There was one family wandering around who were a bit odd. They were the Twensons. Lloyd watched them with an inquisitive eye. The young girl was dressed in really expensive clothes. She had mid-length brown hair and a plain round face. She didn't seem to care about anything except her phone. She wandered around, glued to the screen, walking into people and tripping over dogs. Every 5 minutes, Mrs. Twenson yelled, "Pay attention, will you, Jenny, and put that phone away." "Yes, Mum," muttered Jenny as she walked into a kid holding a puppy. Mr. Twenson was the kind of man you passed in the street without noticing. He had a chubby face and was clinging to the last of his hair. His clothes were so bland that he could have been dressed in a large brown paper bag. Lloyd hoped he wouldn't blow away if he went outside. Lloyd imagined with a woofy chuckle he might well tumble across the lawn like a runaway beach ball, with Jenny running behind him, screaming, trying to catch her father. Mrs. Twenson was swishy, swirly, and a little bit scary. She walked and whirled like someone important. She was dressed in designer clothes that skillfully hid all her frumpy bits. Fantastically blended floral designs used flowers in just all the right places. Lloyd couldn't help but be impressed. The clothes looked good and they looked expensive. He did wonder why the ladies looked hip and stylish while poor old Mr. Twenson looked like the paper bag man. Mrs. Twenson suddenly fixed her beady eyes on him and raised an eyebrow. Uh-oh, thought Lloyd, she's coming in for a closer look. What about this one? Screeched Mrs. Twenson as she swept Lloyd up into her pudgy arms. Whatever, Mum, he looks fine, replied Jenny, completely disinterested. Mrs. Twenson inspected Lloyd like she was buying a toaster. She poked and prodded him as if she were looking for the Browning dial or the cancel button. Whoa up a little, thought Lloyd. Where are the soft pats? I am a cute little poodle after all. Lloyd focused on how Mrs. Twenson's jacket felt. It was soft, warm and firm, yet fluffy all at the same time. It rubbed his fur just the right way. Nice face, cute ears, right type of fur. Doesn't seem to bark, muttered Mrs. Twenson to herself. Not too big, not too small. Should look good on camera, I'm sure Shaney will be impressed. Then she held Lloyd out in front of her and weighed him on one hand. It was as if you had to purchase Poodle by the kilo. "That's it, we'll take this one," declared Mrs. Twenson. "If you're sure, dear," muttered Mr. Twenson. "Of course I'm sure," snapped Mrs. Twenson. "You know once I've made my mind up." "Yes, dear," whispered Mr. Twenson. He had learned to accept that what Mrs. Twenson wanted also became what he wanted. "Wow, okay, so this is my new family," Lloyd thought. His heart was pumping with excitement and fear. What would the Twensons be like as his owners? What was his new house like? What would they feed him? Where would he sleep? How often would he be walked? Would he make new friends? Would he have nice, well-mown grass in the backyard? It's the little luxuries in life, you know. The question swirled in his head and the little poodle felt quite faint. Lloyd almost passed out in Mrs. Twenson's arms. "Real sack of potatoes, this one," she exclaimed in a disapproving tone. Granny and Grandpa Perp exchanged glances. Grandpa Perp walked over and asked, "What are your thoughts on this one?" Granny Perp sighed. "'Tis an odd one, I agree, but that lost little girl needs a dog, more than we know." Grandpa Perp nodded. There was no doubt that a dog brought enormous joy into a family's life. Lloyd was overwhelmed. Everything was moving so fast. The Twensons were in deep discussion with the Perps. Mr. Twenson pulled out his wallet and started thumbing through a huge wad of cash. He seemed to hesitate and pause. "Maybe I cost too much money," thought Lloyd. Mrs. Twenson swiftly swished behind Mr. Twenson and deftly clouted him over the back of the head. "Do hurry up now, dear," she encouraged him sternly. Mr. Twenson suddenly moved faster and counted the cash in front of Grandpa Perp. Lloyd didn't understand numbers, but wow, the pile kept growing and growing. He really was quite expensive. Soon after they were signing some paperwork and shaking hands. The deal looked to be done. Mr. Twenson looked quite white and drained. Mrs. Twenson was beaming and paraded back and forth, swishing her jacket. Jenny sat in the corner on the couch staring at her phone, oblivious to everything that was going on. Granny Perp asked, "Who would like a cup of tea to celebrate?" "I would," replied Mrs. Twenson quickly, fluffing her jacket like she was smoke signalling the word yes. "Well then calm down, dear, you're making me dizzy with all that swishing," smiled Granny Perp. Mrs. Twenson looked flummoxed. "Any more strutting and there will be no cup of tea for you," said Granny Perp in a deadpan tone. Mrs. Twenson knew when she had met her match. She stopped and stood still. The Perps and the Twensons enjoyed a cup of tea. "So what do you both do?" asked Grandpa Perp, sipping his tea. "Well," explained Mrs. Twenson, "we are both very busy and very important." "And what does that entail?" inquired Grandpa Perp. "Ah, yes, good question. You see, during the day we are very busy and at night we are very important," said Mrs. Twenson importantly. "Oh, I see," said Grandpa Perp, completely confused. Mrs. Twenson sipped her tea, beaming with importance. Mr. Twenson waved a biscuit in agreement. Jenny stared at her phone. Grandpa Perp examined the bottom of his cup like he was reading the tea leaves. All too quickly, Lloyd was being carried out to the car. Patrick, Penny and Turtle followed closely behind. Patrick and Penny barked, "We love you, son. Remember your training and try hard to make your new family happy." "I will, Mum and Dad. I love you," said Lloyd. Turtle called out, "If you ever need me, send word through some migrating birds, and I'll be there before you can say woof." "Thanks, Turtle," laughed Lloyd. "I'm sure I'll be fine." Mrs. Twenson was walking to the car when she stopped to pat Turtle. "How nice that you also have a goat!" The poodles all looked at each other and burst out laughing. Turtle went a bright shade of red. Jenny put Lloyd into his crate and they were off. They drove down the gravel driveway towards the tar road. The family followed the car, barking loudly in a send-off. Mrs. Twenson sat upright and stiff-bodied. She waved her hand in the air like she was the queen at the front of a procession. "Goodbye, Perps. Goodbye, Poodles. Goodbye, Goat," she said poshly. "Seriously," said Turtle, "I am not a goat." A tear slid down Penny Poodle's cheek and she cried, "Oh, my baby Lloyd, you'll do well, young one." The car pulled out onto the tar road and Mr. Twenson accelerated off into the distance. Lloyd's little heart thumped in his chest. He desperately hoped that this was the right family for him.